What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Alex Pereira fires back at Tom Aspinall's comment. This week, Tom Aspinall accused Alex Pereira of receiving favorable matchups throughout his career, saying that the former champ didn't have to fight a talented grappler until he defended the title against Magomed Ankalaev. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. Ahead of Saturday's UFC 320 card, Pereira fired back during his media day appearance on Wednesday, saying, "I'm a guy who comes from kickboxing. I had no grappling experience. We're talking about the highest level of the sport. If you were to put the worst guy in the UFC against me, I'd be at a disadvantage. That makes no sense." This wasn't the first time Pereira fired back at someone this week. In addition, he also took aim at Magomed Ankalaev's coach for calling him a slow kickboxer. After Pereira's clapback, Ankalaev weighed in during his media day appearance on Wednesday, saying he agrees with his coach. "If this is what my coach said, then yes, I agree with it, and we're going to make sure to prove it." Ankalaev also gave fans some more details on his run-in with Pereira at the UFC PI during a separate appearance on Against the Cage. "My bad blood towards him started when I saw his interview where he said, I hid from him because I was scared of him, so that really got me mad. I wanted to confront him and ended up running into him in a PI, so I just told him, you were looking for me. You thought I was hiding from you? Well, you found me. Why were you saying those things when it's not true?" That's where this bad blood comes from. With the rematch just days away and fight fans split on their predictions, it'll be interesting to see who gets the job done on Saturday night. Dan Hooker reacts to Arman's Tsarukyan fight. Yesterday, some of you may have noticed that we posted late. Well, that's because Dana White had a huge announcement where he revealed the main and co-main event for UFC Qatar. After the announcement, Dan reacted to the fight news on X by writing, "I'll cave his head in." Then he went on Submission Radio and said it was on site when he sees Arman. Before we continue, huge props to Submission Radio for always getting these interviews out ASAP. This is what he had to say in the interview. "If he comes into arm's range of me, I'm gonna hit him. That's the long and short of it, and the fight's going to be off. If you put me near the guy, the fight's off, and I feel like the guy feels the same way. I'm gonna try to hit him and throw at him and piss him off. The UFC wants this fight to happen, so it's on them to keep us away from each other." He then went off on Arman, saying he absolutely hates Arman, even though he doesn't know anything about him. "I don't like his face. I don't like that his face is attached to his body, and I would love to separate the two. I don't like the bloke. I don't know anything about him, but I hate everything he stands for. Can't wait to elbow him in the nose." And speaking of UFC Qatar, the co-main event features Garry versus Belal Muhammad. After the announcement, Muhammad reacted to the news, writing, "I asked for Conor McGregor at the White House, but this'll do." With no word on when Shavkat Rakhmonov will be back in action, the winner of the Garry Muhammad fight could very well wind up being next in line for a crack at the winner of the JDM Makhachev fight. UFC updates. With just days to go before this weekend's highly anticipated UFC 320 card, let's take a look at today's UFC updates, starting with an update on Merab, who recorded his 50th clean test with the UFC. The champion was presented with a Letterman jacket on Wednesday, celebrating the accomplishment ahead of his upcoming fight with Cory Sandhagen. Merab reacted to the achievement with the following comments.
When UFC anti-doping coming to my house or my gym, it's always annoying because they want usually after training it's hard to go bathroom, or sometimes morning they wake you up, whatever. But of course, annoying. But same time I was happy I was doing this because this is important for sport, keeps the clean sport, and I love this, and I'm proud of be part of UFC and part of this, and then you guys doing really good jobs to keep our sport clean. This is very important because it's not like running. This is we punching each other's in a pace, and we can damage somebody really bad. So this our sport especially has to be clean. And thank you so much, Project Nowinski, for this. Thank you.
Next up, we have an update on this weekend's BKFC card. After reports that his fight with Jimmy Rivera on Saturday was in jeopardy, Frankie Edgar has officially been removed from this weekend's card. Although it's unclear what the exact reason is, during an appearance on the Ariel Helwani show earlier in the week, BKFC president David Feldman indicated that there was something going on with Edgar's pre-fight medical screening. According to NJ.com, another fighter named Timmy Mason is stepping in to fight Jimmy Rivera on short notice. Conor McGregor reacted to the news during a BKFC conference call by saying, "I just want to say about the Frankie Edgar situation, I'm very upset for Frankie. I'm sure he's devastated. Health is paramount here. We will address it and we will reevaluate it and see where we go. Hopefully we can get Frankie in here at another date." Next up, we got Brian Battle fighting one of Nate Diaz's training partners. Nick Coring on October 30th. Dirty Boxing announced the news on social media. Breaking: Bryan Battle is back October 30th in a co-main event. After making a statement at DBX3, he's heading into Nashville for DBX4 and is coming for more blood. His opponent, Nick Coring, a 13-2 MMA veteran training with Nate Diaz. He's coming off a brutal first-round KO in BKFC. Expect nothing but fireworks. Talking about Nate Diaz, BKFC president David Feldman revealed that Diaz shut down an opportunity at BKFC. Feldman appeared on the Ariel Helwani show, where he said that the promotion did reach out to Nate, but he shut it down, saying he has too much scar tissue. However, it's important to note, Feldman believes that if Conor was offered to him, he would accept. Here's what he had to say. We've talked to Nate Diaz a few times. He literally said, look, I have too much scar tissue for this right now, but I think if it were Conor McGregor on the other side of that ring, he would take it. Would you be interested in seeing a Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor fight in BKFC? That'd be pretty sick. And speaking of Conor McGregor signed for UFC White House? Conor McGregor was set to appear on the Ariel Helwani show yesterday, but he backed out last minute for unknown reasons. Later in the day, Conor appeared on Fox News in an interview with news anchor Sean Hannity. In the interview, Conor revealed that his fight at the UFC White House is done and signed, reassuring people that the event is his. Here's what he had to say.
Is this a done deal? You're in?
Done
You made a
deal,
deal?
signed, delivered. It ain't a negotiation.
Wow.
It's a done deal, signed, delivered. McGregor
All right.
will compete in the White House for UFC's 200, for the America's 250th
Did you talk
birthday.
to Dana about it? Dana's got to sign off, I would imagine, no?
Me and Dana are in constant communications. We've done incredible business together. I'm the highest generating fighter of all time in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. They've just signed a breathtaking deal with Paramount, where we go to cable TV. $7.7 billion that deal was accrued for, and ready to rock, baby. Bring in the big dog, the Mac G.
He later went on to tease fans, saying that he's locked in and is taking this seriously by isolating himself from everyone else in a 6-month operation.
I have 8 months and change out to the White House event. It's a 6-month operation. I consider it a 6-month operation to get ready for this bout. Period of isolation for sure, where the phone will not be answered. All my people involved with me understand that it is coming. And as I said, it's a 6-month operation. I'm under no illusion of what lies ahead of me in my preparation efforts. The phone will be switched off and the work will be executed. That's my focus right now. I'm just eager to climb the steps into being ready for my return. There's a lot at stake and I'm very excited at the opportunity. I was right there with my last one. I was in incredible condition. Just a slight lapse in concentration led to an injury. I wish to correct that and show what I'm about.
You definitely know that Michael Chandler's very happy to hear all of this. It is possible that Conor is lying and just speaking gibberish, as there have been no announcement from Dana White or the UFC, and Dana just announced more fights yesterday before Conor's interview. So we're guessing only time will tell. Do you think Conor McGregor will fight on the UFC White House card? And speaking of the White House card, apparently it's going to cost the UFC $700,000 to replace the White House lawn after the event. This is what Dana White had to say during an interview with Sports Business Journal. This is just one little piece I was talking about last night, to replace the grass, because we're going to F up the South Lawn. $700K just to replace the grass. Hopefully, this huge investment pays off for the UFC. Robert Whittaker says Carlos Ulberg deserves title shot next. Leading up to last weekend's Fight Night card in Perth, the expectation was that Ulberg versus Reyes and the Prochazka Rountree fights would go a long way in deciding the next title challenger at 205. On the heels of Ulberg's knockout win over Reyes, all eyes are now on Saturday's Prochazka Rountree fight. The way former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker sees things, after 9 straight wins, Ulberg deserves the crack at the title unless something truly ludicrous happens in Saturday's Prochazka Rountree fight. During the latest episode of his MMA Arcade podcast, he weighed in.
Unless Yuri does like a triple backflip onto his onto like Rountree's head, dude. Like, bar something spectacular like that, then I don't think we're seeing that fight happen.
Following his win over the weekend, Ulberg is now sitting in 3rd on the UFC's rankings, with Yuri Prochazka ranked 2nd and Khalil Rountree ranked 4th. Merab desires to knock out Cory Sandhagen at UFC 320. Merab Dvalishvili's been pretty open about his plan to knock Cory Sandhagen out this weekend. On Wednesday, while speaking to members of the press during his media day appearance, the champion doubled down, saying that his goal is to finish Sandhagen on the feet.
So most of the time, our fight will be striking. right? Like even Cory Sandhagen saying that he's trying to take me down. Of course, I'm gonna get up, and then we know if I take Cory Sandhagen down, he will get up. So that's why I'm saying, like, the most of the time, maybe fight will be striking, and then in striking, I'm getting better. And I look really good, sharp, and then I can knock him out. You know, it's a fight, of course. So I will fight whatever fights will go, but, you know, that's my goal, to knock him out striking.
Of course, ahead of the fight, Cory Sandhagen has his own plans. During his media day appearance, the challenger spoke about how he plans to be an active champ once he gets the title.
I'm probably more excited to be on the A side of things and to just be in the corner like, hey, you know, like I'm way more excited to be the actual guy where people have to start like chasing me, like you said. So yeah, I might be more excited about that than actually being champ, because that's been my position, it feels like, for a really long time. Like the fact that O'Malley's even saying anything about me now is like, yeah, I can't wait to be on the A side and kind of just get to puff my chest a little bit like some of these guys. Three in a year would be sweet, especially fighting in October. I could fight earlier in the year, mid-year, and then end of year. So that's what I want to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Cory. Good luck.
I got literally nothing else going on, so defenses all the way to the end.
Ahead of the fight, the champ thinks that Cory Sandhagen is actually his toughest test to date. During his media day appearance on Wednesday, Merab explained why Sandhagen is such a tough opponent. Yes, absolutely, Cory Sandhagen has a dangerous game. Flying knee, spinning kicks, submission attack, good cardio, he escapes takedowns, and then he's getting up easy, quick, lots of experience. But he's fighting me, and I'm even better version this time. And also, same time, it's a new opponent, and we all know one punch, one submission can change everything. So I recognize all the danger from Sandhagen, but same time, to do what I was training for. And it's gonna be a good night for me, I believe that. To date, no fighter has defended the bantamweight title more than 3 times in a single championship run. With a win on Saturday, Merab will find himself alongside longtime friend and teammate Aljamain Sterling with 3 title defenses, putting him just one shy of UFC history. Khalil Rountree Jr. is aiming to break record at UFC 320. This weekend, Khalil Rountree Jr. isn't just looking to cement his place as the next title contender at 205, he's also chasing UFC history. Right now, Rountree is tied with Chuck Liddell and Shogun Rua for most knockdowns in light heavyweight history with 14. Against Yuri Prochazka on Saturday night, he'll be looking to etch his name in the annals of UFC history by becoming the promotion's knockdown leader at 205. During his media day appearance on Wednesday, he weighed in on the situation.
I love that, you know, like when I heard the first time that I think I was right behind Chuck, and I think the knockdown against Jamal or something like that kind of helped the numbers go up. I thought it was cool to be mentioned amongst a Shogun Rua and a Chuck Liddell, and then to, like, you know, even surpass that. That would be great. That would be something that I'd be proud of, and yeah, it would mean a lot to me.
As MMA Junkie's Mike Bond pointed out, the record has held up for years. This record has held up for a long time. Shogun Rua's last UFC knockdown was Tyson Pedro in December 2018. Chuck Liddell's last UFC knockdown, Tito Ortiz, in December 2006. Considering Carlos Ulberg's win over Dominic Reyes, Rountree may need a highlight reel win in order to wind up next in line for a crack at the title. Brendan Schaub says Magomed is hurting the UFC. Heading into Saturday's rematch with Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev has a chance to silence any remaining doubters. However, the way Brendan Schaub sees things, Ankalaev's so good that he's a problem. After suggesting that the UFC should trade Ankalaev to the PFL for Dakota Ducheva, the same way the UFC traded Demetrius Johnson to ONE for Ben Askren years back, Schaub explained his reasoning in a video for his YouTube channel.
The UFC business model now would make more money off Dakota than it would Magomed, bar none. Matter of fact, Magomed's actually hurting the UFC. Tough to say, because if he goes out and beats Alex, who's a much bigger star than him, it actually hurts the UFC. Now, if you're a purist, you're like, well, the best of the best fight in the UFC, if he wins, he's the champ. I get that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about maximizing money, endorsement deals, TV time. A pretty girl who's very talented, who's a 500 fighter, we can get more money out of than this guy from Dagestan who's a beast but isn't good on the mic. His talking's a little dicey, you know, it's just, and he's also so good that the stars you want to be the face of the UFC, he beats. That's an issue. So people will say the UFC has a star problem.
While trades are pretty rare in MMA, it's also important to note that at the time Demetrius Johnson got traded, he wasn't sitting as an active champion. The trade proposed by Schaub and Dean Thomas seems to hinge on Ankalaev being the champion, because if Pereira wins, then there's no need for the trade. Dana White suspends UFC fighter for using PEDs. This week, UFC flyweight Ramazan Temirov was hit with a 12-month suspension for failing 2 out-of-competition tests for something known as trimetazidine, also known as TMZ for short. TMZ is known to be used in patients with heart problems and can help athletes with their endurance. However, according to a statement from Combat Sports Anti-Doping provided to MMA Junkie, Temirov isn't believed to have gained any performance-enhancing benefit given the amount in his sample. According to the Combat Sports Anti-Doping statement, which was relayed by MMA Junkie, Temirov was prescribed TMZ by a doctor. However, he didn't check to make sure if it was approved by the UFC's testing agency. Because of that, a sample collected on June 12th and another one on July 4th both came back positive. It's important to note that back on July 8th, he was forced out of his fight in UFC Abu Dhabi due to these tests coming back positive. He released a video on social media going into more detail on the matter, saying that he was training in Thailand and ended up getting a lot of infections and wounds. He then went to a dermatologist where he was prescribed TMZ. As a result of the retroactive suspension dated to match his July test, he'll be eligible to return on July 5th, 2026. Temirov is currently 2-0 in the UFC with a first-round win over CJ Vergara back on the UFC Fight Night 244 card, and a decision win against Charles Johnson on the UFC Fight Night 253 card. We have a favor to ask. Help us reach 200,000 subscribers on MMA Zone by subscribing and turning on notifications for daily MMA content. Seriously, we rarely miss a day.